So we are moving to the next session. The core story is the influence of Hippocratic medicine all around the world, from China, India, Egypt, and now we're going to hear about the influence in Romania, in Great Britain by the president of the Hellenic Association in Britain, Doctors Association in Britain, and also in thermal medicine by our Greek expert, Mr. Konstantinos Kouskoukis, and of course the holistic Hippocratic medicine to the modern cardio thoracic surgery for children from Avxentios Kalangos, Professor Avxentios Kalangos, the professor of cardiology, very well known all around the world for his love to children and for his great successes in cardiosurgery, in pediatric cardiosurgery. So it's time to hear how much the influence of Hippocrates is still active in their profession.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session. It's a privilege for me to co-chair this session with Professor Mariana Karamannou from Cappadostrian University of Athens, Greece. I am Daniel Coriu, and I'm president of Romanian College of Physicians. And it's a great pleasure, a great honor for me to participate in this event. Thank you to the organizer. Thank you to the Global Doctors Hippocratic Institute for this kind invitation. And on behalf of my colleagues, almost 60,000 Romanian doctors, I give our greetings. Now, I will invite the first speaker of this session, Professor Octavian Buda. He is the chair of History of Medicine, University of Medicine and Pharmacy, Carol Davila, Bucharest. His work, A History of Hippocrates Study in Romania. Please, Professor Buda.
Thank you very much for your invitation. Thank you, President Patoulis. Thank you, Professor Poliduru, for arranging this fascinating large topic. Hippocratic medicine, it's a worldwide medical theme, obviously, and it is in the conscience of medicine since antiquity, as obvious. What I'm trying to present is the way in which Hippocratic medicine, and not only this, but the way in which a cultural environment and a scientific network has been established based on this idea, and this southeastern region, which at the 18th century was, from an administrative point of view, dominated by the Ottoman Empire. But Constantinople reaches to the Greek and the Greek territories reaches to their medical knowledge and tradition, also Eastern Europe, and Bucharest plays from this point of view a very important role, I would say. And Bucharest already by the 18th century, it's in a way, I would say, cosmopolitic, not very far from the Ottoman Empire, which dominated the political life there, but anyway, far enough to allow himself to create an important academic structure. And from this point of view, the Academic School of Bucharest, established by the end of the 17th century, somewhere between 1680, 1690, it's a topic which shows very profoundly how Greek scholars, being in a sort of intermediate activity at the medical faculties in Padua and Pavia, managed to create in Bucharest a center in which not only the national identity of the Greeks was developing, but also those of Romania. We're talking in that time about two principalities, Wallachia and Moldavia. And the establishment of this academic school is due to an important scholar of the Pontic region from Greece. It's about Sevastos Kiminitis. Sevastos Kiminitis is very well known in the history of Greece and the culture there for establishing the Phronisterion of Trapezus in 1682. Which was an institution able to survive until 1921. And at that time, Sevastis Kiminitis and one of his pupils, Ioannis Koridaleus, were going to Bucharest actually by the invitation of Serbanos Cantacuzenos, who was the landlord of Wallachia at that time. And Șerban Cantacuzino is very well known for helping the Austrians in defending the Vienna siege by the Ottomans. So he and Kiminitis were having the idea to establish this academic school. This is one of the books by Kiminitis, and he was very influenced at that time. This is the Phronisterion of Trapezus, and his way in which this institution was established at that time in Trapezus was paramount for the Bucharest institution. Kiminitis was very much interested in the Aristotelian, neo-Aristotelian theology, which created some kind of theologian controversy related to the Patriarch of Constantinople and the Bishop of Jerusalem, Dositeos. But anyway, in Bucharest, it was possible to be involved in understanding the whole human being from this holistic Aristotelic point of view, which suited perfectly to Hippocratic medicine, the human body as a whole, his equilibrium, the four humorous doctrines. And once again, it was possible at that time to initiate even teachings of iatrosophy, although the main purpose of this academic was surely related to theology and, well, through these physicians of Greek ascendants to make a sort of connection between Venice, Padua, Pavia, and then, of course, throughout in direction to Constantinople. We can see already by the 1714 that this institution was able to create this scientific network. This is a book by Alexandros Heladios, who studied in ophthalmology, who was very active in Oxford for supporting the Greek students at that time. And interestingly enough, he was even able to assist the ambassador of the British ambassador in his trip to Constantinople, assessing the fact that Bucharest was having this school of this academic school in which, once again, medicine was taught. And we can see here, for example, that he is making a direct reference to Ioannis Komnenis, who was the Archiatros, yes, he was the main physician from an institutional point of view in Bucharest. So you can see here that Patriarch of Antiochia related to Bucharest was really exchanging through this school in Bucharest important books, imprimatur, as here is written. And it is very, very interesting to see that the library of the Bucharest School of the 18th century was establishing connection to the Bodleian Library in Oxford, as seen here. Very, 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 I would say, positive, presented by Heladius. Two other landlords, rulers of Wallachia, Constantinos Brancoveanu, who was tragically executed by Ahmed III, the Ottoman, because he tried to establish a sort of, let's say, not really an independence, but he tried to distance himself from the Ottomans, was supporting this school in Bucharest, and then the very first Fanariot ruler, who is Greek, who is from Fanar and ruled in Bucharest and died tragically from bubonic plague in 1730. It's Nicolaus Mavrocordatos. They are all related to this Greek intellectual enlightenment in which Bucharest was pretty influential. Another example of a physician also of Greek origin, Pantaleonis Kaliarkis, was the archiatros, the main physician of the Wallachian rulers. So we have an evolution of scientific teachings, which created as early as 1740 a presentation, a study on what is now to be called the very early vaccination method, which was the variolation. And instrumental at that time is the Greek Emmanuel Timonis from Constantinople, as well as Iakovos Pilarinos, very well known, not only to the Romanian scholars, because he was the personal physician of Constantin Brancoveanu, but also very influential in establishing the modernity of variolation, which everyone knows stay at the grounds of the modern vaccination. So these were possible also inside this institution, which was once again having a lot of scientists, which for not only for the Greek history, but also for the Romanian history are important. Gregorios Constantas, Lambros Fotiades, Konstantinos Vardalachos, which I will mention him just a few later, Neophytos Doukas, Stefanos Komitas, Beniaminos Lesvios are scientists who managed to create by the 18th century at the end a very fruitful intellectual, I would say intellectual identity, which led to the Greek independence in 1821, and the Eteria was very profoundly related to the Bucharest school of teachings. And we have here an important physician, Konstantinos Vardalachos, a physician who studied in Padua and Pavia and was very well known in experimental physics, in rhetorics. He was publishing also on geography and mathematics, and he was one of the enlightened intellectual, very, very active in Bucharest by the end of this academic school. Nonetheless, another major character in both history of Romania and Greece is Apostolos Arsakis. I won't go further into that. He wrote on Hippocrates, on Iatrichistis Historis, on history of medicine, and one of his major books and dissertations on, including on medicine, is, as we know, on Hermes of Ologios, the words of Hermes, which was published for several years, not only on Vienna, but also in Bucharest. Apostolos Arsakis, all of you know how important was for the history of Greece, but he was also interim prime minister of the modern Romanian in 1862, and he is here depicted very clearly as a great personality who established by the end of the 18th century, beginning of the 19th century an important, I would say, an important dimension in creating both to the Romanians and to the Greeks an identity which was very instrumental through this school of academic medicine, which was in Bucharest at that time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Buda, for this excellent presentation. Of course, in fact, in Romania history is common with the history of our area, Balkanic area, mainly with Greek history and, of course, with Ottoman history. This common experience is the background for excellent collaboration in our days, in present, and I'm very sure for the future.